What's up, you guys? Marty Schwartz here, and this is going to be considered your very first guitar lesson. So this is what I have, I've taught guitar for a very long time, even before the internet. I know, the dark ages. I was even teaching back then, and I figured out a way that I wish a teacher would have taught me my first lesson. And so for my own desires, now I'm going to be passing that on to you. And what we want to do is just start with one little shape, Scout's Honor, one little shape that we can move around and start making some music right away. Now, if your guitar is not in tune, it's not going to matter how good you are at the fingering and all that. If the guitar's not in tune, it's not going to sound good and you're going to get discouraged. So I do have a video on just the basics of tuning your guitar. There's a link for it here so you can check that out because we need the guitar in tune before we kind of do this stuff. So we're going to zoom in and talk about the guitar a little bit and learn this little shape with our fingers. And, the real key is not natural music ability. Really, it's the desire. And in the beginning, which I like to call like the first hump of guitar, maybe we could call it like 2 months. What you want to do is if you've always wanted to play guitar, just give yourself, work on it for like 5 minutes a day for 2 months. And don't decide that it's too hard or too, not for you. Just give it that 2 months of 5 minutes a day. And what you'll find is a lot of times that 5 minutes, when you have a little breakthrough, can become an hour or 20 minutes. But, if you just give yourself the 5 minutes a day for 2 months, you can take a few days off here and there. That's okay. And then decide, because really it's about breaking through that first hump, because the stuff you learn after the basics, you can just add little things to your arsenal, and it's just fun. So anyway, really appreciate the support. Let's zoom in, though, and start learning this stuff. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to show you these two chords that are the nice, kind of the easiest chords to start with, and you can make a little music right away. But real quick, let me talk about just the basics of the guitar a little bit. We've got a guitar, step one. Step two, we've got the neck of the guitar and the body of the guitar. Body, neck. The headstock of the guitar, this is a Taylor 614. Got my tuner here. These are the tuners, headstock. Then we've got the strings, right? The strings are connected to the bridge of the guitar. You've got sides here, and you've got the top. You got the back. You got a little strap bolt here and a little strap bolt there. You can see the reflection on my light and other guitars and stuff. Secret studio stuff. And then, but importantly, when we start learning, we've got the strings. And if you looked at the how to tune guitar, Eddie 8 Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie. And you've got the sound hole. And the really important, the starting point here, this little piece of plastic or ivory or whatever it ends up being, that's called the nut of the guitar. And then these metal lines here, these metal brackets, are the frets. And on guitar, when you say, like, for instance, the first fret of the E string, you don't mean right on the metal. If I said first fret, I mean this little section here in between these two things is the first fret. So this whole space right here is the first fret. This area in between these two metal frets, this is the second fret, third fret, fourth fret, etc. The dots on the guitar are just little locator points, so eventually you start to memorize where the notes are or help you, play where a certain chord fits in. They're visual references. And then what you also have is you have a spot here on guitar where it's the 12th fret, and you get these double dots right there. You see you got single dots here. You get to the double dots right there, and that's the octave of the open string. So if this is an open E string, it would actually go through the musical alphabet, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E again. So the open strings start over in what's called an octave up on the 12th fret, okay? So that's just the basics for the guitar. Let's learn the E minor chord. Now, I recommend you get a pick, and if you're a beginner, I would recommend a light pick or an extra light pick if you've never played guitar before. As I progressed on guitar, I switched to a thicker pick as I went along. Okay, so we got a pick, we got the strings, we got the frets, we got the, the guitar is in tune. So we're going to play what's called E minor. And this is like the first chord of Wonderwall by Oasis. It's the first chord of About a Girl by Nirvana. It's the first chord of Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. The list goes on and on. I believe Don't Cry by Guns N' Roses, Civil War by Guns N' Roses. Plus, it's in those songs not as the first chord. It's in a million songs. So we're going to take our pointy finger, our index finger, and if you've never played before or you're a beginner, it does take a little time to build some calluses up. So if it gets to the point where it's painful, then take a break. There's no rush, although everyone wants to play right away. I get that instant gratification, but we just got to just get used to it just like anything. When you write with a pencil, you get a little callus. We got to get that first. So we're going to take our pointer finger here, and we're going to play the second fret of the A string. So with my pointer finger, and my hand's just kind of behind the neck here like this, and my pointy finger is going to hit the second fret. So that area is the first fret, this area is the second fret, and we're on the A string. So the tip of my finger straight down, not the flat part, the tip of it straight down. And then my middle finger, the tip of that, straight down on the second fret of the D string. So a little pro tip for you, if I say second fret and you're kind of scooted back almost to where it's on the first fret, that's not ideal. Ideal is closer to the next fret up. You don't have to press as hard, and you don't get a buzzy sound. So if I scoot it back, we don't want that. If I start to scoot it up, you can hear it rings out perfectly. So then we need to get our middle finger on that same fret, the second fret, but on the D string right there. And we put them both down. Now, if your hand's kind of touching the other strings, we're not going to get the perfect sounding chord. So we want to make sure that there's enough space in our hand to where the strings that our fingers aren't down on will still ring out. And it should sound like that. And so just to start with, you got your pick, and I'm holding the pick kind of, if my thumb was up like that, then the pick is pointing outward. It's not directly sideways, it's not directly pointed up, it's just a little bit tilted like that, and then I pinch it with my pointy finger, and I paint. I paint on the strings around the sound hole area. And your arm should be nice and fluid. I've got the curvature of the guitar, which most acoustics will have that, is on my right thigh for comfort. It's comfy. Okay, so let's go back to that chord. And to start with, we just want to make sure that the chord's ringing out correctly, the guitar's in tune. And for bonus points, for extra credit, for you grade grubbers out there, I got that from School of Rock. You can pick out individual strings and make sure that they're ringing out, properly. This is also the chord from Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. You can do some up-downs. And as we progress learning new chords, a great practice to remember it, right? I take my hand off, and I look on it again and make sure I can still form it. Take your time. Stick your tongue out of the side of your mouth if it helps you concentrate. Michael Jordan style. But another tip from the muscle memory of these shapes that we're going to have to memorize is that you hold the shape of the chord and you take your hand off while you keep the shape, and then we go back and we put it down again. And that's how we start to remember that as well. Keep the shape, take the hand off, put it back on. So that's our first chord, and we could start going, you know, we could do downs. We could do down, up, down, up. We could take it nice and easy. Now here's what's cool, and this is why I picked the second chord I'm going to teach you, which is called A suspended 2. It's got a fancy name, but the reason I wanted to show it to you right away after E minor is that we don't have to learn anything new. Nothing. All we do is we take that exact shape and we scoot it down a string. So the E minor was the second fret on the A string and the second fret on the D string, and we strum the whole thing. To play an A sus2, it's the exact same shape, we just scoot it down. So now it's the second fret of the D string, as in Eddie 8 Dynamite, and the second fret of the G string, Eddie 8 Dynamite Goodbye, sorry, Eddie 8 Dynamite Goodbye Eddie. So the D and the G, second fret, index, middle finger. You can strum the whole guitar, and it sounds like this. Now, if you can avoid this top string here and start from here, then that's even better. So that's the A sus2. And here's the E minor. So then the next thing that we want to practice is just a real simple strumming with our right hand. We'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then switch 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and back. Then you get a little cocky about it. You could start just practicing them back and forth, like. Oh, now I'm also hearing the Take Me to Church song is that E minor chord as well. So it's a million songs, actually. But so we have 2 chords right now, and you can start getting creative and playing music and making some sound. We want to make some sound. So we've got E minor, scoot the thing over a string or down a string, and you have A sus2. Which also kind of sounds like a tenacious D chord. And that's your start. All right, there it was. Thanks for hanging out. Real quick, there's a link that you'll find for tuning your guitar. And then if you had a little bit of fun with this lesson, there's a link for the next lessons in this super beginner series. So check those out. And thanks for the support. And, just remember, just be patient. 5 minutes a day, 2 months, and make some music. I also find it's very therapeutic, and it's just can be a great meditative thing to do besides, digging music. So thanks again for the support, and we'll see you in the next video.